Today we will be discussing about the bacterial cell wall. So as you know, this cell wall is a structural layer which surrounds some type of cells, and it is present outside the cell membrane. As it is present outside the cell membrane, it is tough, flexible, and sometimes rigid because it has to provide protection against the environmental insults. So it provides cells both structural support and protection, and also act as a filtering mechanism for transfer of nutrients from the environment or accretion of waste products from the bacteria. So depending upon the morphology, the just shape of these bacteria. So depending upon the shape, they are divided into various classes. So these major classes, depending upon the shape or morphology, are the coccus, meaning that they are circle shape or spherical in shape. Bacillus, they are rod-like structure. Cocobacillus, between a circular shape and a rod-like structure. Spiral, corkscrew-like structures, and filamentous, they are long, thin filament-like structures. So these structures, they have been clearly shown in this diagram. As you can see, this round structure of coccus, it could be in the form of diplococci when two such structures are together, and diplococci could be encapsulated as in case of pneumococcus. And these are the few examples of these cocci, which are streptococci, Sarcina, tetrad, and staphylococci. When you come to the bacilli, they are the rod-like structure, and in between these spherical and rod-like structure are the cocobacillus. And the examples of these are diplococci, diplobacilli composed of two bacillus, the palisades, and streptobacilli, where you can see streptococci, they are spherical in shape and arranged here. So streptobacilli, they are elongated in shape and arranged here. So depending upon these, you can see these filamentous spirochetes or the corkscrew forms, they are present all on the shape. So cell shape is characteristic for each bacteria but can vary depending upon the growth condition. So some bacteria have complex life cycle including the production of stalks and appendages like Colobacter, and some produce elaborate structures bearing reproductive spores like Myxococcus streptomyces. Bacteria generally form these morphology when examined by the light microscope, and they also show
Excuse me,
distinct
sir.
colony morphology when grown on the petri dishes. Petri dish is a dish which is used for culture of these bacteria in the laboratory. Hello,
सर वो स्टूडेंट कह रहे हैं कि उनकी रिक्वेस्ट एक्सेप्ट करें आप।
अच्छा ठीक ठीक है, तो माइक बंद करें, फिर डिस्टॉर्शन आती है। So this is a diagram, a chart showing just the differences between a human cell and a bacterial cell. In terms of diameter, bacterial cell is much smaller. It is 10 times smaller than that of the human cell. Size is 1 micrometer, while human cell is about 10 micrometers. Surface area of the bacterial cell is just 3.1 micrometers, and that of the human cell is 1,257 micrometers. So it is about 405 times smaller than the human cell. Volume, if you calculate the volume of a bacterial cell, it is just 0.52 micrometer, while it is more than 4,000 micrometer in case of the human cell. So bacteria is 8,000 times smaller than the human cells. And surface to volume ratio, it is much more in bacterial cell and very less than in the human cell. So coming back to the cell wall, so each bacterial cell wall is a rigid structure which is mostly formed by the structures which are called as peptidoglycans. Peptidoglycan means that peptide means derived from the proteins and glycans mean derived from the carbohydrates. So the protein sugar combination molecule is called as a peptidoglycan. So this cell wall is responsible for giving the shape to the cell and also surround the cytoplasmic membrane, protecting it from the environment. And on the basis of cell wall composition, bacteria, they are generally classified into two major groups. They are called as the gram-negative bacteria and gram-positive bacteria, depending upon the color which they give with the gram stain. So this is just the outline of the structure of these membrane. In case of gram-positive bacteria, major component of the cell wall is composed of peptidoglycans, while in case of gram-negative bacteria, the peptidoglycans form only the minor portion of the cell wall, while other outer membrane is formed by the phosphobilate as is present in the plasma membrane. So it is the more tough wall is present in these gram-positive bacteria, which is mostly formed by these peptidoglycans. So coming back to this gram-positive cell wall, the gram-positive cell wall is thick, and the peptidoglycan, which is also called as the murine layer, constitute about 95% of the cell wall. As you have seen in the previous diagram, major component is formed by these peptidoglycans, which is also referred to as murine. But in some of the gram-positive bacteria, it's only just 5 to 10%. Sorry, 5 to 10% is only in the gram-negative bacteria, and more than 90% is in the gram-positive bacteria, the peptidoglycan composition. So the gram-positive bacteria take up the crystal violet dye and are stained purple. The cell wall of some gram-positive bacteria can be completely dissolved by the lysozymes. Lysozymes are the powerful enzymes which are present in various body secretions like saliva and tears. In other gram-positive bacteria such as Staphylococcus aureus, the walls are resistant to the action of lysozymes. So these bacteria are difficult to be killed by these lysozymes, which are normally present in body secretion. So the matrix, Anji? ये तो उसका स्ट्रक्चर लिखा हुआ है ना, लाइन वो पढ़ लें, उसमें लिखते हैं. So the matrix substance which is formed in the walls of gram-positive bacteria could be in the form of polysaccharides or another structure which is called as the teichoic acid. The teichoic acid is widespread but may have been found only in the gram-positive bacteria. So teichoic acid is a structure which is present only in the matrix of the gram-positive bacteria and is absent in the gram-negative. The two main types of this teichoic acid has been recognized. One is called as the ribitol teichoic acid and the other is glycerol teichoic acid. So these teichoic acids are actually the polymers of ribitol phosphate. Ribitol is an alcohol of ribose and glycerol phosphate. the simplest of the carbohydrates, glycerol. They are located on the surface of many gram-positive bacteria, but the exact function of teichoic acid is debated and not fully understood. Major component of the gram-positive cell wall is lipoteichoic acid, meaning that the teichoic acid in combination with the lipids. And because of this lipid and teichoic acid combination, it has an antigenic function, meaning that it can induce the immune system in the body. In contrast to that, the gram-negative cell wall, they are thin and they contain a thin peptidoglycan layer, as we saw, less than 15%, in contrast to more than 90% in the gram-positive bacteria. Gram-negative bacteria, they are stained pink in color. So depending on the color, they were called as gram-positive, which are stained purple, and gram-negative, which are stained pink. The chemical structure of the outer membranes, lipopolysaccharide, is often unique in specific bacterial species and is responsible for many of the antigenic property of these chains. So this lipopolysaccharide structure in the outer membrane present is responsible for the antigenic properties, and it induces the immune system whenever these bacteria enter into the human body. So gram-positive cell wall, the cell wall composition of gram-positive bacteria, mostly peptidoglycans, small amount of lipids, and teichoic acids and lipoteichoic acids are present. And in case of gram-negative, it is composed of small amount of peptidoglycans, and then it has an outer membrane which is composed of lipids, proteins, and lipopolysaccharides. So in case of gram-positive, peptidoglycan are the major constituents, while in case of these gram-negative bacteria, this outer membrane composed of lipid, protein, and lipopolysaccharide is the major constituent of the cell wall. So coming back to this composition of the cell wall, the peptidoglycan molecule is basically a cross-linked polymer which is responsible for strength of the cell wall. So peptidoglycan is composed of three basic components. So this has a glycan backbone, meaning that carbohydrates form the backbone of this structure. Then it has a tetrapeptide chain which is composed of 4 amino acids which are linked to NAM. NA stands for N-acetyl muramic acid. N-acetyl muramic acid. And then third one are the peptide cross linkages, where these amino acids, they are joined together through the peptide bonds. So the carbohydrate form the backbone, then these 4 amino acids form the tetrapeptide, and then tetrapeptides then are joined together by the peptide cross linkages. So glycan as backbone, as the name indicates, derived from carbohydrate, is formed by the repeated units of N-acetyl muramic acid, abbreviated as NAM, and N-acetyl glycosamine or glucosamine, and amino sugar. So these two subunits, they form a disaccharide, and they are repeated in this glycan backbone. And as you know that these monosaccharides or the carbohydrate derivatives, they are always connected to the glycosidic linkages, and here the bonds which are formed are the beta glycosidic linkages. The glycan backbone are cross-linked by the tetrapeptide, and the tetrapeptide are only found in the NAM or N-acetyl muramic acid. So more than 100 peptidoglycans are known with the diversity focused on the chemistry of peptide cross linkages. So different, more than 100 different peptidoglycan molecules have been isolated. So this peptidoglycan chemistry varies from organism to organism. The glycan backbone is same in all the bacteria. And as you have seen, this glycan backbone is formed by the N-acetyl glucosamine and N-acetyl uramic acid. So this is generally the overall structure in which all these peptidoglycan components they can be seen. As you can see, this is a sugar backbone, and then these in sugar backbone you can see these NAM and NAG residues. So this all form the sugar backbone in the structure, and this sugar backbone is linked through these tetrapeptide chain. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 amino acids form this tetrapeptide chain, and here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 this tetrapeptide chain, and these tetrapeptide chain they are connected to each other through these peptide interbridges. So this sugar backbone, then these tetrapeptides, and these tetrapeptides they are connected through these peptide interbridges. So this forms the total structure of a peptidoglycan molecule. The amino acids which are present in the tetrapeptide, as the name indicate, they are 4 amino acids, and position of these 4 amino acids is generally fixed in this. So L-alanine is present as the first position in both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. Second position is occupied by D-glutamic acid. These D and L series, they are similar to those of D and L sugars which we studied in case of carbohydrates or monosaccharides. So just orientation of groups around the central carbon will determine this D or L series. So most of the sugars present in the body, they are D sugars, but most of the amino acids present in the body, they are L amino acids, but these D amino acids, they are present only in certain bacteria. Very few D amino acids could be seen in the higher animals. They are specific for bacteria. So second position is occupied by D-glutamic acid, and the third position is occupied by D-amino pimalic acid or L-lysine. So any of these could be present at third position, while fourth position is always occupied by D-alanine. So L-alanine is present at position number 1, D-alanine at position number 4, and glutamic acid at position number 2, while it is only the third position which could be variable. Either the L-lysine could be present or D-amino pimalic acid could be present in place of this amino acid. So all these three, they constitute the structure of a tetrapeptide which we have seen in the previous diagram. So this is just to show these peptide cross linkages or the sugar backbone in gram-negative or gram-positive bacteria. So different they have been shown the procedure. So what happens in gram-negative bacteria, that these peptide cross linkages occur between di-amino pimalic acid, which is present at third position of tetrapeptide, and D-alanine adjacent glycan backbone. So this bonding is present only in gram-negative bacteria, because this di-amino pimalic acid is not present in gram-positive bacteria. So in gram-positive bacteria, peptide cross linkages occur by the peptide interbridge simply between the two tetrapeptides, and the type and number of amino acids in the interbridge vary among bacterial species. So, as we name, this teichoic acid is a water-soluble polymer of glycerol and ributol phosphate. It is present only in the gram-positive bacteria, and it constitutes about 50% of the dry weight of the cell wall. So it is major component of the gram-positive bacterial cell wall, and it is the major surface antigen of gram-positive bacteria. So whenever gram-positive bacteria attack the animal tissues, they stimulate the antigenic response in the body and production of antibodies by the animal against these antigens are produced to provide protection. So in case of gram-negative bacterial cell wall, so as you can see, this peptidoglycan, they form a very small portion of this cell wall, but it is the additional layer which is present in the form of outer membrane, which is present only in the gram-negative bacteria, and it is composed of lipid bilayers, protein embedded in it, and the lipopolysaccharides as shown in the purple color. So lipid bilayer and the lipopolysaccharides and the proteins, they are present in the outer membrane of the gram-negative wall. While in case of gram-positive bacterial cell wall, it is mostly the peptidoglycan molecule which constituted, and that is the reason that the gram-positive cell wall is more rigid as compared to that of the gram-negative bacterial cell wall. हाँ जी, ये पॉलीसैकेराइड शो कर रहा है ना, ये दिस इज प्रोटीन, ये ट्रांसमेम्ब्रेन प्रोटीन अगेन, and porins are the actually these channels which are responsible for transport of certain substances. Again, they are mostly protein in nature. Bacterial porins, they are the channels for the transfer of substances across the membrane. So lipopolysaccharides, as they are present in the outer membrane, they are attached to the outer membrane by the hydrophobic bond. So these lipopolysaccharides are synthesized in the cytoplasmic membrane and transported to the outer membrane. So lipopolysaccharide is composed of a lipid, A, and a polysaccharide. So it is a combination of lipid and polysaccharides. Lipid A is actually a phosphorylated glucosamine disaccharide, meaning that this disaccharide is formed by glucosamine, amino sugar, and which is phosphorylated or phosphate is attached. So repeating unit of these phosphorylated glucosamine will form a disaccharide which constitute this lipid A, which then combine with polysaccharide to form these lipopolysaccharide structures. So polysaccharide in this lipopolysaccharide consists of 4 polysaccharides and O polysaccharide. O polysaccharide means any substance attached to the oxygen of the OH group. If it is attached to the nitrogen, and then it is called as N attachment, or if it is attached to the oxygen, then it is called as the O polysaccharide. So this was about the general structure and the basic components present in the bacterial cell wall. And at the end, some of the examples of gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. The important examples of gram-positive bacteria include this Micrococcus, this Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, and Leuconostoc. These are the, although it has a very long range of these bacteria, but the important one has been mentioned here in the form of Micrococcus, Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Leuconosta. Staphylococcus and Streptococcus are the two important bacteria which can cause infection in the humans also. Staphylococcus mostly the skin infection, and Streptococcus mostly the respiratory tract and skin infection or infection of the inner structures in the body when it enters into the body. Gram-negative bacteria, on the other hand, E. coli, mostly present in the large intestine. This Salmonella again causes all these Salmonella, Klebsiella, Shigella, and Pseudomonas. They can cause Pseudomonas particularly causes infection on the skin. Shigella, Salmonella, and Klebsiella and E. coli all can cause infection in the gastrointestinal tract. So mostly the infection in the gastrointestinal tract or the urinary tract, they are caused by the gram-negative bacteria, while in case of skin and the respiratory system, mostly the gram-positive bacteria, they can cause infection. So examples of these gram-negative bacteria: E. coli, Salmonella. Salmonella is also bacteria which is responsible for the typhoid fever. Klebsiella, Shigella, and Pseudomonas. So that was our
सर ये ग्राम नेगेटिव बैक्टीरिया कौन सा इन्फेक्शन करते हैं, दोबारा बता दें.
Basically, Pseudomonas generally causes skin infection, but it can also cause gastrointestinal infection where it enters into the intestine and intestine is injured. But that is very rare, but mostly it causes skin infection. But this E. coli, Salmonella, Klebsiella, and Shigella, mostly they are responsible for causing infection in the gastrointestinal tract, meaning that starting from the mouth to the large intestine. While in case of these gram-positive bacteria, they mostly cause skin infection and the infection of the respiratory tract.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Equally distributed, जरूरी नहीं है. All type of both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria are present. So नेक्स्ट वीक से तो आपकी क्लासेस इधर ही होंगी, तो इंशाल्लाह वो उसी तो ये स्लाइड अभी शेयर कर देता हूँ. इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन, वी हैव 2 minutes, we can discuss. Meanwhile, I am going to share these slides.
सर ये LPS के ऊपर वाली स्लाइड थी.
अच्छा चले 1 मिनट में बता देता हूँ. स्क्रीन डालते हैं तो इसलिए कि सस्ती बहुत है, और वो बिल्कुल जहाँ चीनी आप कह लेंगे 1 चम्मच डालना है, ये हार्डली a pinch of saccharin is sufficient. But as it is a carcinogenic, so it is a banned item. बट हमारे तो यहाँ पे मिल रही है ना, इसलिए यूज भी हो रही है. तो लेकिन यू कैन इजीली आइडेंटिफाई एनी सिरप इट कंटेन sugar or the saccharin, that after drinking both will have a sweet taste. Rather, saccharin syrup is more sweet, but if you wait for 1 or 2 minutes, then you have a slight bitter aftertaste in your mouth if it is a saccharin. So it can be easily identified if you concentrate. Just 1 or 2 minutes after drinking that syrup, you will feel a slight bitter taste in your mouth, and that is a diagnostic of saccharin use. जी जी।
थैंक यू सर।